welcome to the Chalkboard, a podcast hosted by the Gogebic-Ontonagon Intermediate School District. This monthly podcast shares how the GOISD works to inspire students every day and support the work of our local school districts. I'm Alan Tolpo, your host and superintendent of the Gogebic-Ontonagon ISD. February is CTE month, and today's episode features our Career and Technical Education Department's Education Careers Program. I'm joined by Patty Witt, the instructor of the CTE Education Career Program, and Ashley Nevins, Career and Technical Education Director. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So, CTE month is a big deal here in the GOISD. There's a lot to be proud of and a lot to celebrate. And today we're going to be focusing on a new program, the Careers and Education Program. But before we do that, Ashley, could you give us an overview of what CTE is for people who aren't familiar with it?
Sure. And as you mentioned, February is a special month. During CTE month, we like to celebrate and highlight all of our CT programs, teachers and staff, thank our industry partners, and most importantly, all of our CTE students. What CTE is, though, is CT programs offer hands-on learning opportunities that help prepare students for careers and life after high school. We often find that students who are enrolled in a CT program are more engaged in their learning. They're graduating from high school at higher rates, and they have the potential to earn industry-recognized credentials. Patty will be explaining a little bit too later in the podcast about the credential that she offers in the CT education course. But overall, in addition to those credentials, students also have opportunities to earn college credit in CTE. They get work-based learning placements, student leadership opportunities, and the development of career readiness skills, which we do think benefits students a great deal. So in a nutshell, we do take great pride in helping to guide all of our students with their future career decisions. We've had students that enter the workforce after high school, some continue education at a college or university, and we have some students that have successfully completed apprenticeship programs. So we do feel that our CT programs are for all students. And I think I'd turn it over to Patty now to talk a little bit more specifically about our CT Education Careers Program.
So I'm so excited for the opportunity for our high school students in the Gogebic-Ontonagon Intermediate School District. This is really the perfect class for students who are interested in pursuing a career in education, as it gives them a jump start in their secondary schooling, post-secondary schooling. It's also great for students who are uncertain about their career path, as many students are. They will have the opportunity to learn about teaching, work in a classroom, and explore education-related careers. This program actually got started, and Ashley, you can help me a little bit. There was, I believe, because of the shortage of teachers in our area, there was a push, and you were involved in that before I was.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, Alan and I met with our local district administrators and early childhood directors and personnel across both Gogebic and Ontonagon counties, because like many districts in the state, we were facing a huge teacher shortage. And there were a lot of different, opportunities and grants and things out there, but we felt that by opening a CT education program was a way that we could help recruit more younger individuals to the field of education.
Mm-hmm. And, this is a new program we've started here at GOISD, but Patty referenced, and you did as well, Ashley, that there's a teacher shortage across the state. So are other ISDs in introducing this program as well?
Yes, and many, frankly, have had this program in place for quite a few years now. And up until we opened our program, we were the only ISD in the UP that did not have one yet. So it was definitely time, I think, that we did our part to help recruit more to the field of education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely needed. And So, Patty, you provide instruction to students about different aspects of a career in education. So there's the classroom portion where the students are with you, but then they also have experiences beyond the classroom, known as work-based learning. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So the Education Careers Program, it's actually a 1-year, 2-credit course, which offers, like you said, the hands-on approach for high school students who want to explore education. And as you mentioned, there are essentially 2 parts to the class. The Ed Careers classwork with me that they do in the classroom, and then the work-based learning placement. Similar to the teacher's aid placements like we all had back in high school or that were available, the students will gain experience working in anywhere from preschool, elementary, middle school, and some cases in high school classrooms in a work-based learning environment. However, unlike the old teacher's aid placements, the students in education careers will have safety and student privacy training prior to ever working with our students. Mm-hmm. They have, anyone who's in education is familiar with the bloodborne pathogens training, student health and safety training, FERPA training, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. So that those are just a few that we started out strong in the beginning of the year. And we want our students to be safe while they're in the classroom, but also recognize the importance of the students' privacy in each classroom, and so that our education students understand the laws that govern that topic within our schools. And then additionally, they're going to learn about the history of education in America. In fact, we were just covering that in January. Classroom climate and culture, lesson planning, all of the steps that are required to becoming a teacher. So after that initial training in the fall, students spend about half of their week in class with me and the other half in their work-based learning placements. So you asked about specifically work-based learning. Mm-hmm. We partner actually with the GSRP, which is a Great Start Readiness program, with the local Head Start programs and all of the local districts to establish work-based learning placements for each student. We try to get students based at a grade level or maybe a subject area that they would like to go in and pursue in the future, so they have direct interaction with students at that age and that level. Once they've completed the safety training that I mentioned, then students will help with all kinds of classroom activities, and they won't just be in kind of making copies for the teacher and things like that, but they are interacting with the students. They may be in charge of small groups, the reading circles with math centers, different things. In addition to that, they may have different projects that the teacher needs extra hand, and they'll take groups to be working with them. So, and during that time, students have a daily timesheet. They track all of their hours for all of their work-based learning hours. And if they're absent from school, they are responsible to contact me and contact their teacher in advance, and getting ready for the job force and some of the responsibilities that go along with that. So
sure.
Patty, one thing that I found that was interesting when we were visiting with some of your current students, and they were describing how eye-opening their placements have been for them. Even though they're students in high school, now serving in that teacher assistant role, they really felt that it really opened their eyes to what it's like to be a teacher and, some of the challenges that go along with that. And I just felt that conversation was really, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think they mention that on a regular basis. We journal every week about their experiences, and they keep track. And especially the first couple of weeks, the students would talk about they couldn't believe one of the younger students came in and they had a meltdown for 30 minutes and how the teacher worked through it. And then, of course, one is in the GSRP program. So at that age, sometimes students have accidents, or sometimes they are missing their parents, or they've had a difficult weekend. So they definitely talked about how challenging those situations can be. But as the program went on, the students have gotten very close to my students. So they'll go in and the younger students see them in the hallway and they ask, "Are you coming to our class today?" And they draw pictures for the students, which the high schoolers are tickled when they get a picture from a kindergartner or something. So all around, it's been very eye-opening for my students.
It sounds like a great experience for them to be having so early on in their consideration of a career in education. I think back to when I was going through a traditional teacher prep program, the first 2 years, well, a year and a half at least, at the college level, was primarily in the classroom. We weren't out in the field, so to speak, yet. So I think this is just a wonderful opportunity for them to really gain an awareness of what it really is like. It's more than just showing up and being in front of kids. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into it.
Yes, absolutely.
So when they do their work-based learning placements and all the coursework that accompanies it, you talked about them tracking hours and journaling and having all the job or a lot of the job responsibilities that a teacher has. Does this help them transition then into an education program at a community college or university? Are there credentialing options for them or credits that they can earn while they're in this program?
Yes, absolutely. In addition to preparing them with a lot of the soft skills that we work on a daily basis with their, they also, by completing this class, students are able to jump right into an educational program at the next level. And currently we are working with Gogebic Community College and Northern Michigan University on an articulated agreement. And in fact, I believe Ashley will be able to share a little more. She had a meeting just very recently with someone from Gogebic. So, but it means if they enroll in either of these education programs after high school, this class that they're taking in high school will fulfill some of those credit requirements in the program. Additionally, if they choose to work with young students, a CDA, a Child Development Associate's degree, would be the more appropriate for them. And so all of their work-based learning hours can count toward the requirements of a CDA, and they'll be logged, and we currently have my registry accounts for the students. So all of our training, all of the hours that they work are all logged, and that can transfer directly into their CDA credentialing. And Ashley, you can probably share more on that.
Sure. So like Patty said, we're working very closely with Gogebic Community College on creating that pathway for students. So if they complete our program in high school and want to enroll in GCC's education transfer program, they will get college credit awarded for taking this in high school. And then in addition, they can go through GCC's college transfer program onto NMU, where they're working on aligning that complete pathway for students. Or students could leave our program and go straight to NMU, and NMU at the same time recognizes our program and will award those students some college credit, which is really, really a great thing and a benefit to students because they're not having to pay for those credits then. And Patty did mention that CDA credential. So students are logging their hours to earn that credential. If it is not complete by high school and they're still in that type of placement as they're going to college, those hours can continue to be tracked so they can eventually earn that credential and work in one of our early childhood centers.
That's fantastic because there is such a shortage of employees too for our early childhood centers in the area. I know the ISD operates one, and we are always looking for people who are interested in working with young children.
Yes.
So Mrs. Witt, you've had what some people would say a long and varied career in education. You've had a lot of experiences. So this is the next step in this career where you've worked with young children as a teacher. You've been an elementary teacher, a middle school teacher, a K-12 principal, and now you're working with young men and women who are interested in becoming teachers. How do you feel about this experience?
I'm just so excited to be able to be involved with getting this off the ground right now. kind of came fairly unexpected. But then again, a lot of the curves that my career path has taken, they were things that have come upon me, and it just looked like a very exciting challenge for me throughout the years. So as you mentioned, I started out after student teaching in second grade. I was hired by Head Start to teach what they call the satellite program, which meant I drove the students to school. I got them. It was a remote location in Twin Lakes, Michigan, for anyone who knows where that is. When I got there, I would teach. We would do centers. We followed the curriculum that Head Start followed at the time. I cooked their meals for them. I got them all ready, drove them home from school. So I essentially ran the entire program, which was quite a jump into education. And then I was hired by the school that I student taught at. So I taught third grade, taught in a very small 2-room schoolhouse that some people have compared to like Laura Ingalls Wilder days. Mr. And so I taught 5th through 8th grade all in one classroom at the time, which was quite a challenge, an organizational challenge, you might say. And then I moved over to this part of the UP, and I worked for Great Start as a parent liaison. I taught in the preschool, worked at 5th and 6th combo, and made my way into administration. And so as I was looking to possibly segue to something different, this position opened up, and I'm just so excited because I feel that I can give the students a great insight into a lot of the educational levels they may be interested in. And I've seen the changes in education from when I started many years ago to now. Certainly the students are coming to schools with different needs that we didn't see years ago. But then again, the services provided in the school match those needs right now. And so to be able to help the students see and experience those things, and like Ashley shared, to have them having these aha moments in the classroom, for me, it's just the neatest thing in my career at this point right now. So thoroughly enjoying that experience.
Yeah, and I think it's obvious that Patty has a passion for this work, and she really is developing some student leaders within her program and doing a great job at that. And I don't know, Patty, if you want to share a little bit about, what it means to be a student leader in a CT program and what opportunities they have to step up as leaders.
Absolutely. So students are able to strengthen their leadership and employability skills through a variety of leadership opportunities. So in addition to being in the classroom every day, where, for instance, one of my students in one of our local districts was in charge of what they call the SAGE circle early on, which was kind of a big thing, I thought, for her. And so she was in charge of that every day and slowly helped it transition to the students at lower elementary. So in addition to those kind of classroom activities, students will help with class field trips. I know the GSRP class has taken trips to the fire station and different places, different outdoor activities. We had one of the students, the teacher requested that we could switch days, so she's able to help her when they were taking the students out skiing, which at elementary, if you take students snowshoeing or skiing, an extra set of hands is always very helpful. There are family fun days, different school-wide events the students will be involved in. And in fact, this week we have the intermediate school district, the area-wide spelling bee coming up. So my students will be here helping with that event, which will be really exciting because that puts them in a role of being leaders to the younger, great role models for the younger students.
Yeah,
So
a great experience for them.
it definitely is. And during that time, during all the activities, they work on a lot of their soft skills as well, their effective communication, both written and verbal. We talk about that with emails because students occasionally get fairly casual with emails right now. And so we work on just what's appropriate and talk about interpersonal skills and their different leadership abilities, work ethic, and they're applying them all in real world situations for them, not a classroom, if they'll be coming to the spelling bee and doing that. So there are definitely great opportunities, and it's helpful for the schools and the districts as well to have an additional help available for those events.
And those leadership skills, I think, are something that students can take with them wherever they go in life. Whatever job they choose, those are going to be skills that are very beneficial.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. They may decide after going through this program, although I hope they don't, that, a career in education isn't for them, but the skills apply universally.
Mm-hmm.
There are careers that they can do with a degree in education that they can be very successful in. But this program is aimed at preparing them to be the educators of tomorrow.
Right.
And it sounds like they're off to a great start in understanding what's needed, what they can expect as an educator, and they're having just a very rich experience. I'm excited to hear this. I'm hearing some of this, for the first time, and I definitely need to get out and see the program at work.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I'll add on that, because some of the students are uncertain when they join the class,
Mm-hmm.
we cover the educational piece. They're working with students. Some may take it because they have availability and they are uncertain. I also introduce a component of the class where we have other professionals that work in education, but they are not the traditional educator.
Okay.
For instance, we have had the school nurse come in and speak to the class, which was very educational for them as well. And, and they were interested then thinking about different options for nursing. So we've had the school success coach and the school liaison officer. So people that went into essentially a completely different career, but found themselves working in schools right now with students. So we talk about that. I request that the guest speakers explain what their career is, the path that they followed and how they ended up in the classroom, and then the things that they do. So it's not exactly education, but the same skills we're learning now that they could use in any of those, and additional ways that they could support our schools in related fields as well. So that has been a very, I think, an enriching part of the education for the students as well, to kind of see a broad field right there of options for them.
Absolutely. And I'm really glad you brought that up, because we talked about careers in education.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just teaching.
Right.
That's an important role, and we definitely need great teachers, but there are other supporting roles that exist within that careers in education umbrella. So I think that's a great thing for students to see. So as we get to the end of our podcast, I do want to make sure that you both have an opportunity to share anything else that we haven't talked about with regards to the Education Careers Program or CTE in general.
I think just to piggyback a little bit on our previous conversation here is when I was visiting Patty's program the other day, some students, they were talking about different careers and were career matched to more of the human services and were interested a little bit in social work. And that was the conversation we had, as we have those positions in education as well. So I do think that's really important. And then Alan, I think you also mentioned that if students complete this program or any one of our CT programs and decide that maybe this really isn't for them, we still call that a win in CTE, because you know what? They're finding that out in high school. They're not paying college tuition yet and finding out that they're not interested in that career pathway. And they're still learning that skill set. Like we said, even if it's the technical skills that they're learning or those employability and soft skills, those are skills that will benefit them in whatever path they choose. So we still call that a win in CTE.
Oh, most definitely.
And I believe children are really our greatest assets for the future. I think we need to be putting everything into our students and raising them, starting from quality preschool programs and going out. And so we need more quality educators now than probably ever before with the trends that have been happening. So like Ashley said, even if they consider a career path in education or a related field or anything, I feel that this is just a success all around, exposing them. And the skills that we learn, the exposure that they have, at the very least, they have a very thorough understanding of what educators go through. When they come into a classroom as a student, they're understanding the other side, the role that the person in charge of that classroom is experiencing. So, like I said, I think our students right now, we need to invest everything in our little people to make the society successful moving forward.
Definitely. So the last question I have for both of you, and this is something I ask of every guest on our podcast, is what do you like most about your work? I'll start with Ashley.
Well, for me, it's all about the students. Unfortunately, with my role, I don't have that direct communication with students on a daily basis. But when I, a couple years down the road, run into a previous CT student, whether it's a welding student or a CNA student, and I see the impact that we've made, to me, that's really powerful. You know, we may see them working as a CNA or, you know, talking about how they love their CT teacher and the skills they learned in high school. I mean, sometimes I don't think our CT teachers give themselves enough credit for the impact that they do make on students. And for me, that is just, you know, very rewarding and saying we're doing good work and we are making a difference, and CT is powerful, and I'm glad to be a part of that.
And, you know, I'm glad you brought up the CTE teachers in the other programs as well, because I've had a chance to visit those programs and I see amazing things happen with students in those programs. They're engaged, they're enjoying learning, they're being successful. Mm-hmm. And that's a wonderful thing to see as we work to make sure they have those opportunities. So thanks for what you do behind the scenes to make that happen too, Ashley. And Patty, how about you? What do you like the most about what you're doing right now?
Well, I think I'm going to add on to what Ashley said for 1 minute before I answer that personally. Okay. But what I will say, a personal story regarding to CTE teachers in our program is that my daughter took the CNA course through the GOISD, and she knew she was headed to college. Probably not going into nursing necessarily, but realizing that she would gain a lot of valuable skills, life skills, as well as skills going forward for caring for people and things that we will all need. And I will say, of all the classes, and she's had some great teachers all through high school. She always had a very full schedule, and I believe CNA was one of her absolute favorite classes that she had. And it was challenging. But yet, I think the way, like you said, talking about CTE instructors, Mrs. Sprague was very real with her students. She talked to them about the real world going into this and prepared her in a way that maybe your more traditional high school teachers don't always approach it in the real world sense the way she did. So I always thought that was really neat to see that she had taken basically the college-bound track all the way through, but that was by far one of her favorite classes. So that was a, testament to the teachers in the program, like that one. So I would say similar to what Ashley said, though, watching students in education and watching them go. I was telling my students in class this week that surprisingly, some of the students over the years that I have formed the closest bond with were some of the students that were the most challenging in my classrooms, the absolute most challenging. And you have to come to an understanding. And when I can see that I can help them navigate the difficulties that they are dealing with in life and come out on the other end successfully, there is just no better feeling than that. And so every time I have a whole new group of students in front of me, and then when I can see their growth, even my current group right now, when I can see what they've learned from even the beginning of the year to now and things that they're comfortable with now that they were so nervous about in the fall, it's just the best feeling. That's the best feeling dealing with students. And you know that this is a huge point in their life, their high school, elementary and high school education. So nothing better than that.
That's great. Well, I appreciate you both and the work that you're doing and the time that you spent with me here today. I know you're both really busy, and I hope that people listening to this podcast will be inspired to learn more about career and technical education and the opportunities that exist. I do want to put in a plug for another program that's currently available to adults who are interested in becoming educators, and that's the Talent Together program that was launched earlier this year. And that program is available to any adult who has a high school diploma and has ever been interested in a career in education. We have information about Talent Together posted on our website, www.goisd.org. And you can also Google Talent Together Michigan and find out more about that. We need great educators in our classrooms. We need great people working in our schools. And this CTE program is one way that we can accomplish that. And Talent Together is another way. So anybody who's listening, if you want to check that out, or if you have questions, please reach out to us here at the GOISD. So that's all the time we have for today's episode. Our next episode will be posted in March and will feature some news about the good things happening in our local partner districts. If you have any questions about today's episode, please feel free to contact Ashley Nevins at Nevins, Nevins, at goisd.org. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.